What do you think? Should I expand it into a longer story or leave it as is? Let me know in the comments below. And while you're at it, please consider supporting the channel. Your support helps my work reach more people and keeps me motivated to keep bringing you high-quality horror content. Thank you so much for your consideration. Now let's get back to the story. I don't want to spend too much time talking about what happened next because I want you to experience it for yourself.
Ho, ho, ho!
However, I will say that after waking up in the hospital, recovering from a horrible car accident, I couldn't help but feel like something was missing. Something important, something that once held significance but now seemed lost. After asking my doctors a million questions about how I managed to survive such a horrific accident, they finally gave me an answer. I wasn't supposed to wake up. As it turns out, my brain had gone into some kind of shock, and the doctor said it was a miracle I was alive. But here's the thing, something else happened during that time.
Ho, ho, ho!
My memories from before the accident are fading. They're becoming distant and distorted like an old home movie playing on a projector. All I remember is that I moved to LA to follow my dreams of becoming an actress, and then one day everything went black. When my mom came to visit me in the hospital, she seemed relieved that I was awake, but she also seemed confused. She told me that I had been in a coma for 3 weeks. But when I asked her about my friends, my apartment, my life before the accident, she would only shake her head and say she didn't know.
Ho, ho, ho!
As the days went by, I became obsessed with recovering my lost memories. All I had to cling to was the feeling that there was something important missing, something I needed to find. I began searching through boxes of old photos and videos trying to piece together who I was. But the deeper I delved, the more elusive my past seemed to become. Meanwhile, my physical recovery was going well. After months of therapy, I was able to walk again and my speech returned to normal. But the progress I made physically meant nothing to me.
Ho, ho, ho!
I was still trapped inside my own mind, fighting to unlock the prison that my brain had become. And that's when I met Dr. Blake. He was a specialist recommended by my mom who seemed genuinely concerned about my condition. Unlike other specialists, he didn't try to brush me off or ignore my questions. He actually took the time to listen to me and run tests. He brought in an expert who conducted a series of experiments to test my memory recall. And the results were shocking. According to the expert, my ability to remember things from before my coma was similar to someone suffering from dementia.
Ho, ho, ho!
This was far from the typical amnesia experienced by accident survivors. I wasn't losing my memories in a linear fashion. Instead, it was as if chunks of my past were being deliberately erased. As if my situation wasn't dire enough, the doctor broke the news that my brain wouldn't recover on its own. If I wanted to retrieve my memories, I would need experimental treatment. This treatment was risky, and it hurt. It involved implanting electrodes into my brain to stimulate specific areas. But it was my only hope. And after exhausting every other option, I agreed to the surgery.
Ho, ho, ho!
But this is where the story takes a turn. During the surgery, as I lay strapped to the operating table, my heart began racing. A deep sense of dread washed over me. The nurse looked panicked and whispered something about vital signs spiking. Suddenly, the lights above me flickered and everything went black. When I woke up, I was disoriented and scared. Where were the doctors? Was the surgery successful? And most importantly, did I still have my memories? That's when I heard footsteps approaching. The door creaked open, and a tall man with piercing blue eyes stepped in.
Ho, ho, ho!
He was followed by a woman who looked like a younger version of the man. "Who are you?" I asked. The man smiled, a cold, emotionless smile that sent shivers down my spine. "You can call me William," he replied, his voice like ice. "This is my daughter, Anna. We've come to welcome you to our home." "What?" I thought. "Where am I your home, sweetheart?" William said, his smile widening. "You're finally home." I struggled to sit up, fear gripping me. Home. Why did he call this place home?
Ho, ho, ho!
Why did he smile like he was hiding something? As I looked around, I realized that I was in a familiar place. It was my apartment. But something was terribly wrong. My apartment had become a mausoleum. Cobwebs draped the corners. Furniture was covered in dust, and a thick layer of grime coated everything. I ran to the window and peered outside. The view was supposed to be of my neighbors across the street. But now all I saw was an endless expanse of murky water. What had become of my city? Of the world I knew. Panic surged through me. I tried to call out for help, but my voice caught in my throat.
Ho, ho, ho!
I couldn't make a sound. Fear twisted my stomach. What had happened to me? Why was I here? And who was this man? Fragments of memories flickered in my mind, but they were terrifying. I saw glimpses of a shadowy figure lurking in the darkness. I felt the searing pain of a stab wound in my chest. And I heard whispers of betrayal and murder. William approached me, his blue eyes boring into mine. "Don't you recognize me?" he asked softly. His voice was a venomous caress. "Don't you remember what we shared?" He leaned closer, his breath hot on my skin.
Ho, ho, ho!
"Together, we're going to rule the world," he whispered, his lips curling into a predatory smile. And then everything went black. When I awoke, I found myself lying on a cold, hard surface. Groaning, I tried to sit up, but a searing pain in my chest forced me back down. Panic surged through me as I realized I couldn't move my arms or legs. They were pinned to the surface beneath me, held down by thick chains. I struggled against them, but the more I fought, the more my vision blurred, and the harder it became to breathe. My eyes darted around the room, taking in the scene.
Ho, ho, ho!
I was in a dark, damp cellar with cobwebs hanging from the ceiling like shrouds. The air was thick with the smell of decay, and the only light came from a single flickering candle in the corner. As my eyes adjusted to the darkness, I noticed a figure standing in the shadows. The candlelight danced in his eyes, revealing their chilling blue color. It was William. "Why?" I choked out the word, my voice hoarse from disuse. "Why did you do this?" William stepped closer, his smile predatory. "Don't you remember?" he asked softly. "Don't you remember what we shared?"
Ho, ho, ho!
My mind reeled, trying to grasp the fragmented memories that flickered through my thoughts. Then a horrifying realization dawned on me. I remembered the accident, the searing pain of the crash, the blinding headlights. And then I saw him. William, standing over me, his face contorted with rage. Betrayal. Murder. The whispers echoed in my mind. "You betrayed me," I whispered, the truth of the words hitting me like a physical blow. William nodded, his eyes gleaming with triumph. "You were supposed to die in that fire," he said, his voice laced with venom.
Ho, ho, ho!
"But here you are, stronger than ever. You're my property, Isabella. And no one can take that away from me." As he spoke, I felt a surge of anger mixed with fear. My memories were returning in full force, bringing with them a flood of emotions. I remembered the life I had led, the secrets I had kept, and the enemies I had made. Most shockingly of all, I remembered William. He wasn't just an acquaintance. He was my father. My real father. The man who had sent my birth mother away and raised me in secret. But why? Why did he treat me this way? What had I done to deserve this?
Ho, ho, ho!
The questions pounded in my head, but William wasn't done with me yet. He reached out, his touch as cold as ice, and stroked my cheek. "You're beautiful," he murmured, his voice a sickening caress. "So powerful. Together we will be unstoppable." I recoiled from his touch, disgusted and terrified. "Stay away from me," I cried, my voice echoing in the cavernous space. But my pleas were lost on him. William only smiled, his eyes blazing with fervor. "You don't understand," he said, his voice low and intense. "I'm not going to hurt you, Isabella. I'm going to make you mine."
Ho, ho, ho!
Before I could react, he pressed something against my neck. I stiffened, my heart pounding as I felt the sharp prick of a needle. "This will help you remember," he whispered, his eyes gleaming with triumph. "Remember who you truly are." Everything went black. "I don't want to reveal everything. I want you to discover the truth for yourself. But let me just say this, the memories that returned were not my own. They were William's." And as he watched me, a cruel smile spread across his face. "You are more than you think, my darling," he said softly.
Ho, ho, ho!
"More than you could ever imagine. Welcome to our legacy." As I lay there trapped and helpless, one terrifying thought echoed in my mind. Who was I? And what was our legacy? If you want to continue the story, let me know in the comments. And while you're at it, please consider supporting the channel. Your support means everything to me. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, take care.
Ho, ho, ho!